So being the Minister State of Defense, we have a problem in Zamfara. He knows all the corners and crannies of those areas in Zamfara.
So why did he? So if you think that he didn't do well when he was a governor to bring down those bandits, what makes you think that he will do better as a minister?
Because he has been paired with someone that has done good. The former governor of Jigawa State has done excellent in terms of security architecture, and probably this will be the first time to bring on board those kind of combination. It's just like a bitter cola and coconut. Coconut is sweet, bitter cola is what?
Bitter.
Fine. If you join them together, this is what liver like most. You can ask the physicians on that regard. So the Zamfara State governor, I think he was lucky to be fed with the former governor of Jigawa State, Badaru Abubakar. He's a very disciplined person. He has financial discipline. And whenever he says, I'm going to do this, he will do it, just like his brother, maybe the FCT minister, Wike. If Wike says yes, it's yes. So those are the things we are looking into them.
Nelson Mandela, who is a South African anti-apartheid activist and politician who served as the first president of South Africa from 1994 to 1999, once said, "Safety and security don't just happen. They are a result of collective consensus and public investment. We owe our children, the most vulnerable citizens in our society, a life free of violence and fear." Absolutely spot on. My next quote is from Bruce Bueno de Masquita, who is a political scientist. He once said, "No fool stays in power for years on end when there are so many generals, sons, and wives waiting in the wing to launch a coup." Whoa, that's deep. My next quote is from Ahmed Ben Bella, who is an Algerian politician, soldier, and socialist revolutionary, who once said, "Everywhere that the struggle for national freedom has triumphed, once the authorities agreed, there were military coups d'etat that overthrew the leaders. That is the result time and again." Okay. My last quote is from Eduardo Galeno, who is an Algerian journalist, writer, and novelist. He once said, "Most of the wars of military coups or invasion are done in the name of democracy against democracy." All right, now let's see how this quote relates to what we'll be discussing tonight. Very warm greetings and welcome to The Conversation. We're reaching you from Kaftan's television studio here, the nation's capital, Abuja. I am Annabelle Oji. On the show today, we'll turn our attention, or we'll continue with the discussion with regards to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's ministerial portfolios. We'll talk about the defense. We'll talk about how insecurity and how much these ministers have already started or kick-started, and now what they are doing in that regard, and how Nigerians are expecting, or what they are expecting in return. And then you hear President Bola Ahmed Tinubu gave them the charge to work for Nigerians and not for their states or for their regions. We'll also go straight to Niger coup to get some updates with regards to Niger coup crisis, and then we'll talk about so many things today on The Conversation. My guest on the show today is Sani Ahamad Kazaure, who is a lecturer, he is an entrepreneur, and he is a systems analyst, Secretary General of Northern Intellectual Forum. We'll start this conversation after this timeout. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this conversation. Welcome back. If you just joined us, this is The Conversation. We are reaching you from Kaftan's television studio here in the nation's capital, Abuja. Now let's go straight to our conversation for tonight. And my guest on the show tonight is Sani Ahamad Kazaure, who is Secretary General, Northern Intellectual Forum. He is also a lecturer and he is an entrepreneur and also a systems analyst. It's great to have you on the show today, sir.
Thank you for having me.
It's like a very huge portfolio.
No,
right
not really, actually.
All right, you're welcome again.
Thank you.
Okay, so now let's start with let's start from the Tinubu's ministerial portfolios. Now you have most of them have actually swung into action and started working. And you still have some Nigerians who have their reservations with regards to the choice of ministers. Some come out to say that you have recycling of old governors who most of their electorates in their states refuse to elect them to govern them again, and then they've been recycled to become the minister of some ministries. And then some other persons will come out to say that, okay, I think the president just decided to give, it was just like a compensation job for the boys, and then you have some huge ministries are given to some personal persons. Let me use the word that they use. Are given to some personal persons. So let's get your thoughts in that regard.
Yeah, I'm glad. I'm a Nigerian and I have my own thought as well. But I have to go with the majority of Nigerians because whenever there is a new government, there is expectations. We expect some certain changes. We expect some engagement precisely to have a new generation of people that are coming into power. We all know the trend of history in this country. Those people have served, some ministers, some governors. We can see their performance in their various states. If you perform well in your state, then definitely the people will get you back as a governor or as a senator. When you feel that is one of the criteria to show that you haven't done anything good for your people. So to me, I see no reason why Mr. President will bring back those people into power.
You're talking about those former governors,
those former
right?
governors, former senators, most especially those that lost election. But as you certainly said, there are some key people that play a role for the president to be the president, so he has to pay back. And those are the things we need to get rid of. If you are in party A, party B, when the government started, we are no longer talking about the politicking, we are now talking about what governance. Who can deliver? So those are the things our leaders should think about. And precisely President Tinubu, based on his track record of governing the Lagos, one of the complicated states in the country and one of the huge revenue generation, he has transformed the state. Where are the team of those people that supported him to move the Lagos to the front end? You could have get the same kind of people from all over the nation. Not necessarily when you contributed politically, you must be in governance. No. There should be some kind of criteria. There should be some kind of high-level integrity. The world is watching Nigerians. If you bring someone who has a cases with EFCC, ICPC, and you put him as a governor, then how can the EFCC, ICPC checkmate him as a minister? So I think there are some little things that the government needs to take into consideration. As a Nigerians, as a young people, we have high expectation for the government. And what we expected is, although there are some certain people that has been engaged into the government, there are ministers that are extremely good, and we expected them to perform good. You can see the trend. Who among the ministers are now the social media is talking about? Those that are what? That are willing to work, that are willing to deliver.
Can you actually judge by that?
No.
Is that a yardstick for judgment?
Yeah, you cannot judge by the influence of the social media and what people are saying, but what people are saying is what they have seen. There are some ministers that immediately after the swearing in, you didn't even heard about their names, just 2 days back. But there are some ministers that still they are trending. This means their past record, the record they have left past, being the governor, it's now replicating. So they now swing to action, like the Minister of Works, FCT, others, You can see them visiting the project, talking about the quality. What about the other ministers? I've seen the Minister of Support in the stadium, Misho Daviola Stadium, checking it. I've seen some certain ministers go around. So I think there are some that they have been positioned well, and they still were expecting. That is my thought on that.
Okay, now see, since you said that you actually have your reservations in that regard, now let's run it down a little bit and go to some of these ministries. Now you have talk about the Ministry of State for Defense, who's given to the former governor of Zamfara State, and then we've heard so many hue and cry in that regard. People saying that how much in that same Zamfara State, when he was a governor, some regions in that state, you have bandits hoisted their flags, and they were brought down by bandits. But then he's now decided to make him the Minister for State for Defense. How optimistic are you that if he didn't deliver as a state governor, he will deliver as a state minister?
Yeah, I think for the defense entirely, I think there is one secret code that people don't know about it.
Yeah, really?
Yeah. Let's look the senior minister, the former governor of Jigawa State, Badaru. He's from Jigawa State. Jigawa is northwest, and in the entire northwest, Jigawa is one of the most peaceful states. That is one quality. Okay, how does he arrive to have that peace in the state? Zamfara is northwest. Zamfara is one of the most terrorized states. So it's just like you are having solution and the problems. So you now bring them together. You know, because Jigawa State is one of course, peaceful. But look at Zamfara. When he was the governor in Zamfara, he couldn't do much. Why? Because now he can identify the failures. Why have weaknesses? So being the Minister State of Defense, we have a problem in Zamfara. He knows all the corner and crannies of those areas in Zamfara.
So why did he? So if you think that he didn't do well when he was a governor to bring down those bandits, what makes you think that he will do better as a minister?
Because he has been paired with someone that has done good. The former governor of Jigawa State has done excellent in terms of security architecture. We can dive more into that because I know a bit of the security, you know, and probably this will be the first time to bring on board those kind of combination. It's just like a bitter cola and coconut. Coconut is sweet, bitter cola is what?
Bitter.
Fine. If you join them together, this is what liver like most. You can ask the physicians on that regard. So Zamfara is hot. The insecurity is terrible. Jigawa is peaceful. The security in Jigawa is relatively okay. So now you bring them together. Then we look at the model on how did the former governor of Jigawa State get to have the peaceful state. What are the secret of that? How can we make the same replica in Zamfara? So this is the point I'm looking at it. If there is a model which work out for the Jigawa State to have peace, then let's apply that to the same model in Zamfara, in Sokoto, in Kebbi, in Katsina, in any part of the country. You understand what I mean?
Okay.
So the Zamfara State governor, I think he was lucky to be fed with the former governor of Jigawa State, Badaru Abubakar. He's a very disciplined person. He has financial discipline. And whenever he says, I'm going to do this, he will do it, just like his brother, maybe the FCT minister, Wike. If Wike says yes, it's yes. So those are the things we are looking into them.
So do you actually think that will rub off on the Zamfara State governor, even though we've heard alleged reports with regards to misappropriation of public funds and all? Do you think that the discipline from his principal, that's the minister, the federal minister of defense, that's Badaru, Honorable Badaru, do you think that it will rub off on him being the state minister? Yeah,
our expectation is it will, because he's a state minister while he's the senior minister. So for you to move forward, then you have to follow your boss. If your boss is disciplined, if he has a very good record, then definitely you have to what? You have to copy from him. I'm glad Nigeria today have a leadership. What I mean by leadership is that a leader who can listen and act quickly. President Tinubu, he has that capacity. And he's now trying to bring people that are, you know, have the same thinking with him. But in another way around, definitely you must have some certain people that they even didn't deserve to be in the ministerial nomination, but he gave them.
Are you going to mention names here?
Actually, we may not likely to have the name, but I'm talking about my own point of view.
Let's get your point of view. So which of them do you think that is actually not deserving to become a minister?
Yeah, if someone has an issue with the EFCC, ICPC, I think he didn't deserve to be in the position of minister, honestly speaking. If someone is elderly enough, he cannot work out, then I think we don't need such kind of people to be in the ministerial position.
I think you're just avoiding to mention any name here, right? All right.
Yeah.
All right. So now let's go straight to other stories. Same still on that ministerial portfolios. We have the Minister of Tourism. We have the Ministry of Labor. We have the Ministry of Youth. But then recall that a few days ago, KPMG came out to say that unemployment rate has gone farther than 40%. So what are your optimism? What are your thoughts in that regard, having these ministries in terms of reducing the unemployment rate in Nigeria? Let's start with that first.
Yeah, you see, the issue of unemployment in Nigeria is kind of a very serious issue. When we talk about employment, we mainly talk about the government employment. What about other sectors, private sectors? My expectation is the private sector should take 1/3 of the Nigerian population. The government should take 1, and the rest one should be shouldered by the 2/3, the first one and the second one. But everyone is looking at the government to give the job. Government don't have the job. I may recall previously Mr. President, former President said there is no job. He's meaning there is no job. But the fact is, how do we create a job? That is the most important aspect. If we have education, if we are knowledgeable, then we have to find the means to earn a living. But if we keep looking at the government to provide job, most especially very lucrative job, I think we cannot get there. And don't forget, there is a report by the United Nations by the year 2050. The global population will hit about 9 billion people on the planet. And much is expected from Africa. So by the year 2050, Nigeria will be the 3rd populated country on earth. We'll hit about 500 million people. We have the land, but still talking about what? Hunger. Are we really serious on that? If you check the record of the previous government, the huge money put into the agriculture, if you bring them on board, does that replicate to see the impact of that money into agriculture? Who are the people that are working there? So when we take one particular sector and invest deeply into it, we can overcome this issue. But remember, employment, we look always for the job that will be paid monthly. That is not an employment. You are just having to survive. But if there is an avenue, there is an opportunity where you can explore your own talent, you will create job. Let's start an example with the Captain TV. Is that a government owned?
It's private.
It's private. It's not an individual. He has the intellectual capacity to do. How many people does he employ? Go to the north. How many TV stations do we have? Nothing. How many people are investing into the private sectors? So in as much as we are looking at the government to provide job, no matter what, every day in out, you see the result that there is high rate about unemployment.
But let me butt in there. Sorry, I had to butt in. Now, you are an entrepreneur. Yeah. So if you have to look at the fact that you have so many people complaining about the fact that government, yes, they're not, they're supposed to be an employer of labor, but then if the private sector has to come into that sphere and then get so much jobs, but then the government is not even creating the enabling environment for these entrepreneurs to thrive or these business people to thrive. So what will you tell us in that regard? Because I know that you are an entrepreneur. So how much of an enabling environment are you getting? Because the SMEs, they're still the ones that are providing their electricity. They still have to battle with multiple taxation. And then you still have the story about multinationals like JSK that we all grew up to know leaving the country.
Yeah, actually, in terms of government to provide the enabling environment, there are some policies that will not work out. So you as an entrepreneur, you have to push forward. In every entrepreneur, you see, he has invested over 70% before government come in. But if the government can, provide the enabling environment, as you rightly said, then we can move forward. But one of the key issues with government is the policy. In the developed nation, if you have an idea, there are some certain places that you go and display your talent. Even if it is a dancing, it's a talent. Then they will pay you for that. in Nigeria, do we have such kind of environment? We don't have. So I look at it carefully. The government is sometimes don't have the right thinking people to develop the policies. We are still thinking backward, just like our educational system.
So you that is as an entrepreneur, which of the government policies affect you directly?
Yeah, the first one that affected me more is the land acquisition.
Okay.
There are a lot of bureaucracy before you acquire the land. In terms of registration, if you don't have money, CSC, other agencies paying the tax. Above all, what is the most difficult one is access to the facility. If it is a loan from the bank, if it is support from the government, before you have access to it, you must know someone.
So all of the formal farmer money, market
trader
money, trader money, anchor borrowers program, none of them had any impact on your business?
No.
Or you didn't get anyone?
No, actually, from our own point of view, we didn't get any. The only one that we are lucky to have is that of COVID-19, where there are 10 staff from my company that has been paid due to the COVID, which I even wrote the letter for the appreciation. But now there are some certain organizations, mainly driven by the civil society organization, that are into training, because we have to train the younger ones to pick up. Even if you are in the university, even if you are in the polytechnic studying, you can come and join us. We can train you. You can have the skill. So if we secure a job, then we can bring you on board to work. You work as you earn. So those are the things we look into. But any other thing like the microfinance bank support, we have been trying it. Actually, you have to know somebody before you get it.
Oh, wow.
That is a fact.
Oh, wow. Yeah. All right, let's go back to, because we were talking about the ministerial portfolios. Let's go back to the Ministry of Defense. And right there in the Ministry of Defense, we'll know that I've seen some people talk about the fact that you have two ministers of defense, that's the federal and then the government. And then they also talk about we having a new NSA, that's the National Security Advisor, also coming from one particular side of the region of the country. And then you also have a Chief of Defense Staff also coming from one region of the country, and you also have the DG of the State Security Services from that same part of the region.
Yeah.
I've heard people come out to say that why does it look like other parts of the region don't have competent hands to bring people on board? And then that's the same complaints that we've gotten from the previous administration with regards to nepotism. And do you see these things happening again?
Yeah, actually, we Nigerians, we at times look at things from the other point of view. I'm trying to, balance between, what is right and wrong, but I may be wrong as well. The fact is, those regions we're talking about is the most terrorized, and there is high level of insecurity there. This is the first time I think we're having back the National Security Advisor, who is a former police and an intelligence officer. We have very high expectation. Don't forget the DGDSS, he's already here before the present administration, and he's doing well. Before him, there was a former DG of the SSS who has been sacked. He's from the same region because he couldn't perform. So now this guy is there. So the security architecture is mainly from the northern part. And for Mr. President to have a very smooth government running, she now dedicated the security architecture back to the north to see their performance. What can we do? Let me take an example of the Jigawa State model. One of the key secrets of having this, the peaceful atmosphere in Jigawa State is the community engagement.
That's the vigilantes.
Yeah, there is traditional institution, not only vigilante. I can recall the former governor, Saminu Turaki. He did per ward. We have 287 wards in Jigawa. So every ward he take 10 people. Every ward, including 2 women, 2 elderly people, 4 young people, and 1 religious leader. So he make the combination of the 10 people per ward. And every month those people, they sit down, they know who came in, who go out. Now he's supporting them with just a few amount of money to run their ward. That is a ward level. I'm talking about the ward level. And they have very impact to their community. So if their borehole spoil, they will repair it. If they know they are having challenge of hospital, emergency, they will use that small money to establish a very small one. If they know they don't have any physicians, they will sponsor somebody quickly to go and do.
Oh, so they don't have to wait on the local government, they don't have to wait on the state government.
The state government or federal government.
Ah, okay.
That is at the lowest level, at the world level. So you can imagine such kind of thinking. So the same thing apply for the security. The traditional institutions are there, the academia are there, the civil society organization are there, the non-governmental organization are there, you know, the traditional institution, the traditional religious leaders, they all come together. The governor said, okay, this is your local government, this is your ward. Let's see what will happen. Don't forget, we have this SSS, we have the police, there is military. So you ease their job because there is intelligent information from the grassroots. And having that, then you simplify all the difficulties. So the government now, you can imagine, left to us is northeast, Yobe, too much attack of Boko Haram, blah, blah, Kano, too much of Boko Haram attack, but Jigawa is in the center. But we are secured by the hope and by the Almighty God because of the good leadership we have. So this is the same leader now, is the leader of the what? The Ministry of Defense. Do you think he will play with the security? Absolutely, she will not do that.
Then I have some other persons who say that. So are you actually then saying that you don't have competent people from the south, from the southeast?
No. Of course, there may be someone who is more competent than him. But we are looking at the result he has bring on board first. If you look at your scorecard, okay, previously this is what you have delivered. Then we are expecting what? To do more. Previously he's the governor of Jigawa State, now he's the Minister of Defense. So he has to wake up and do the needful. Okay,
so we're not only talking about the Minister of Defense, we're also talking about the NSA from the same region. We're also talking about the Chief of Defense Staff.
NSA, he's from the northeast, from Adamawa. You know, he has the capacity and he can do that. You see, although I'm not in the government, but I know being the president is not easy. You must bring the people that you trusted most to do the job for you. If you bring somebody because of your ethnicity, because of your religious inclination, because of your region, when that guy fell, it will directly go to you. Recall what happened with the previous administration of President Buhari, the case of aviation, the case of other ministries. When they failed, Nigerians don't even talk about them, but they talk about the President Buhari. So Tinubu has a vast experience on that. So definitely he has to what? He has to take a step forward to make sure that those things has not been done.
All right, there's clearly more that we need to unbundle from this conversation with Sani Ahamad Kazaure, and we'll definitely get right to it after this short break. Join us again. A new Oga landlord is in town, and he has been, I don't want to use the word threatening, but he has been saying stuff and then saying that he's going to step on toes regardless of whatever that happens. And then I also saw a particular report a few days ago where he talked about cattle rustling, those who ranching, open grazing rather, those who go have their open grazing especially in towns and all that, they're going to clamp down on them. And then I see him also talk about if you don't have CEO, you don't have CEO, those buildings will be brought down. So do you actually think, some people would say that you're just threatening to bring down fire and brimstone, just do the job and not, there's no point threatening people. Do you actually see a point where he's going to step on toes so bad and it might get really, really nasty?
Look at the River State. He transformed rivers. One thing about Nigerian is that if you are here to do good, they will start bombarding, they will start saying this and that. I think he has done it a bit decent. Go to Kano State and see when the governor of Kano State come. He pulled down structure over 5 billion.
Even though there were so many arguments in that regard, saying that why did he was just bringing down, he was politically inclined. That was the word they used.
Yeah, people may say it, just like the Wiki, they will say it's a politically inclined. If assuming now the PDP headquarters has no CEO, when he say bring it down, they will say what is politically, inclined.
That's political vendetta.
That's it. But the fact is, I like the way he talk about the open grazing. Let me give you a case study. Jigawa State. During the former governor of Jigawa State, Sule Lamido, he make it categorically clear that any animal that you see on the road, get it down, kill it, take it to the prison. and he fed the prisoners with these animals. The fact is, I use my money to buy a land in a waterway. I built my house. Now I have my family. If they pull down my structures, I don't know where to go. I have my origin in the village, then I can go back to the village.
Oh, you're saying so people should go back to the
Of
village?
course, let them go back to the village.
Welcome back. If you just joined us, this is The Conversation. We're reaching you from Kaftan's television studio here in the nation's capital, Abuja. If you just joined us, you've actually missed out on the first leg of the conversation, but we're going straight to our second part of the conversation. And my guest on the show tonight is Sani Ahamad Kazaure, who is the Secretary General, Northern Intellectual Forum. He's also an entrepreneur, a lecturer, and systems analyst. All right, before we went on that break, we've actually touched on quite a number of things, but now let's come back to tackling insecurity in Nigeria. Insecurity is not only in the north, it's not only in the northwest or the northeast. You also have insecurity in the south, in the southeast, in the south, and even the southwestern part of the country. Now, how optimistic are you that we have new service chiefs, we have new NSA, we have, and then how optimistic are you that they would actually deliver on the deliverables, and even the new minister? That's one on the side. Two questions, and I'd like you to unbundle them in one breath. Now, that's one on the side. And then secondly, we've had this argument with regards to how much the service chiefs, they don't always accept each other. You have different directions coming from different quarters. One is saying one thing and the other is saying another thing and all. And then some people will come out to say that the NSA was a policeman, was formerly a police intelligence officer, a fine one at that though. And then they'll tell you that all along, apart from when we had the former, God bless his soul, Jimeta, we had Gambo, who were the NSA at some point, but then now other times it has always been the military officers. So now that you have another police officer becoming the NSA, how optimistic are you that they will listen, even as military officials, they will listen to a police officer?
Yeah, let me take it, the last one. How will they, listen to the police officer? Now he's not the police officer, but he's the NSA. He had, acting under the President Bola Tinubu, and he has the capacity to deliver. So if today there is a police officer standing on, it's just like to say, will they work under President Tinubu? So if you are serving the country, definitely no matter who is the superior, you must follow the rule, because we are guided by the Constitution of the Republic of Nigeria. Security issue in Nigeria is very, very complex situation. There are key, issues that surrounded the security architecture. We look inward, but the external forces is something that only the government officials that can talk about. We're trying to push them out. They are pushing in. So when you have a bunch of intellectuals in the same room, if you give them the problem, the way this guy will look at the problem and try to solve it will be different from this one, because they have the capacity. So I am very much optimistic. I'm very much sure that Nigeria now have the good set of security architecture that will help to overcome our security challenges, especially having the service chiefs. The service chiefs being, brought on board by the president, the Minister of Defense by the president, the NSA by the president, the police, and all other security architectures. So I am very much sure, we can have a very good, sound, peaceful Nigeria in the near future. You can see the result now from Zamfara of recent. The security are pushing forward. You can see the result from other parts. When last you heard about bomb blasts in Maiduguri? When last you heard about any other insecurity in Yobe?
So what changed? What happened? What changed? What did they do differently?
Yeah, of course, they have done something magically different, but there are key behind that. Although we cannot open much on air, but I know there are some key issues that has been put in place.
That were not put in place in the last 8, 9, 10 years?
Exactly. Sure. Sure, that is.
All right. Still on the ministerial matter, we have Abuja now has a new landlord. And I hear some people say a new sheriff is in town, but there's some other person say a new Oga landlord is in town, and he has been, I don't want to use the word threatening, but he has been saying stuff and then saying that he's going to step on toes regardless of whatever that happens. And then I also saw a particular report a few days ago where he talked about cattle rustling, those who ranching, open grazing rather, those who go have their open grazing especially in towns and all that, they're going to clamp down on them. And then I see him also talk about if you don't have CEO, you don't have CEO, those buildings will be brought down. So do you actually think, some people would say that you're just threatening to bring down fire and brimstone, just do the job and there's no point threatening people? Do you actually see a point where he's going to step on toes so bad and it might get really, really nasty in Abuja?
Yeah, actually, the FCT minister now, he has what it takes to move the FCT forward. Let me be honest. Look at the River State. He transformed rivers. One thing about Nigerian is that if you are here to do good, they will start bombarding, they will start saying this and that. I think he has done it a bit decent. To go to Kano State and see when the governor of Kano State come. He pulled down structure over 5 billion.
Even though there were so many arguments in that regard, saying that why did he was just bringing down, he was politically inclined. That was the word they used.
Yeah, people may say it just like the wiki. They will say it's a politically inclined. If assuming now the PDP headquarters has no CEO, when he say bring it down, they will say what is politically inclined.
That's political vendetta.
That's it. But the fact is, I like the way he talk about the open grazing. Let me give you a case study. Jigawa State. During the former governor of Jigawa State, Sule Lamido, he make it categorically clear that any animal that you see on the road, get it down, kill it, take it to the prison. And he filled the prisoners with these animals. Check it and see. And before you know it, everybody get his own cow, sheep at his home. So you now have to go and get food for it. I see no reason why people will be allowed just to bring cattle in the capital city. I have seen very terrible just clip of video on a young girl that is going to the school. Suddenly there is a bull along the way. It's getting out of control. So I wish he can admire and he can copy from what Sule Lamido did. In Jigawa we have vast land, but they said mostly they are looking for where to water their animals. Then he said, okay, fine, we have the wind. He now used a wind turbine. They drilled the borehole, he put the overhead tank, and the water is flowing. So from wherever you are, your cattle can just take the water there. There are a lot of virgin lands outside Abuja. Just you cannot go far away, like 15-20 kilometers. If you have an animals, must they eat and feed in the city? What are they eating? But
then if it was possible to have it done in Jigawa, and some people will tell you that that's the north, this is not central. If you have a lot of people coming, what if he causes reprisal? We've seen how much this has happened in Benue State, where you have the cattle and the herdsmen and the farmer clashes there.
Yeah, just like the issue of herdsmen and clash of the cattle. I mean, the Fulani and the Fulani herdsmen and the farmers. That clash, it happens in Jigawa long ago. When Sule Lamido come on board, it couldn't happen again. You know, there are a lot of modalities that I want the Nigerian to go and copy from Jigawa State. There are many. Because when the former governor come on board, he bring on board the intellectual, the religious, and okay, how do we solve this problem? He just put the problem on table. How do you do it? This guy will say this, no, this, they're just on it. You bring out the result. I expect something to be replicated in Abuja. If Sule Lamido can do it in Jigawa, if Wuche can do it in Rivers, why not Abuja? The fact is, I use my money to buy a land in a waterway. I built my house, now I have my family. If they pull down my structures, I don't know where to go. I have my origin in the village, then I can go back to the village.
Oh, you're saying so people should go back to the village?
Of course, let them go back to the village. Anybody who built his infrastructure in the waterway, there are a lot of flooding in Abuja now. You can see 2 months back, the flooding in one of the estate. It's wrong. It's better to save the life of human being than to allow him just to die because he had the house.
Now I hear some people say that that's just all of this is just going to favor the rich and then still make the poor man go
I'm glad he talked about the rich as well. If you don't have the CEO, go to Asokoro, go to Maitama. There are a lot of, unused land. For the last 20 years, he has a piece of land. He didn't put any infrastructure. He is not paying the tax for it. Let Wike have it.
All right. We'll take other story because I hear you talk about Kano State, and then I saw a particular headline this morning that says Kano is requesting to have more of revenue coming from FARC than any other states. And then when I read that story, we had a caller who called and then said, why would Kano be asking for more revenue when you have Lagos, you have some other states? And then some other person said that probably it's because of the population. And then I'm thinking, why ask for more revenue? Why not generate more revenue to solve your own challenges? What are your thoughts in all of this?
Yeah, I think,
does Kano even have any reason to ask for more revenue from FARC?
Yeah, probably the government may have the reasons, but from my own point of view, I think it's just something that has to be, checked well. You can't just, push your own thought on something that you have no idea on. But the fact is, in the north, there are a lot of loopholes in terms of revenue generation, which if the government couldn't do well, then probably the revenue may not be get there. To ask from the federal, I think is wrong. Use the resources you have in your state. What do you bring on board before you have been paid back? I'm quite optimistic of that. So if Kano will ask for more revenue, then what about the Lagos? Is this because of the population? Is it because of park? I heard the Minister of FCT saying that, of course, it's true. Abuja, everywhere in Abuja cannot be park. You don't even have the control over how many parks are there in Abuja. And even if there is, then what are their revenue generation capacity? How does that revenue go back to the government? I'm a commuter. I bought the bus, from here maybe to Kano to any part or Lagos. I fed my own ferry. Then part of it there is a revenue. Does that revenue reach to the government? Those are the questions. So I think Wike can have a very good starting point, more precisely from the revenue generation aspect. If he can get a PPP, he will have more revenue.
That's public-private partnership.
If he can do that, he can have more of the revenue coming into the the state capital.
Okay, so because we're talking about revenues coming into the state capital and all, now let's talk about palliatives. Even though I dislike using that word palliatives, especially with all that happened during the COVID-19 pandemic. Now you have 5 billion naira going to each state. How much will they even transfer this money to people? And then they say they already have people in their social register. They know the poor people that needs the money. Some people have started sharing bag of rice. Some people have started sharing the palliatives. But yet you still have war coming from that palliatives. If you go back to what happened in COVID-19, do we still need palliative in Nigeria again?
Another fact is sometimes the government miss the road. And it is because of those policies, the people that are close to the government. I don't want to have someone talking about the palliatives. By now, we could have moved far. Okay, let me take you an example. You give 5 billion naira to Jigawa state government. We have 287 wards. If you divide 2 billion naira into 287 wards, you will have around 17 to 18 million per ward. How much is the bag of rice? How much is the bag of maize? Then why should government give money just to buy food and distribute to the people? When the idea of giving palliative come on board, I honestly dislike it. I honestly dislike it because it will not yield any positive impact. The fuel you are buying at 186 now is 600 plus. The same one at the village, who take a taxi from her village, or he took cab from her village to the nearby market. He's paying 100 naira. Now he's paying 300 naira. The same woman will go and give her 2 mood of rice or 1 bag of rice. Does that help her? So honestly, and I'm glad the governor of Kaduna State said it when they have the meeting with the president. At that time, only 2 billion naira go to the state. At the time he's speaking, only 2 billion naira go to the state. Where are the rest of the money? If 5 billion naira go to Jigawa State now, it will drastically reduce the rate of poverty if it can be utilized right way. I give you the example of the 10 people per ward. If you take those 10 people as a committee at ward level, you give them 17 million naira. Look around them, they know the needy people. They know who need what. Can't you have a committee that will handle that? But the commissioner is interested to take his part. The commissioner taking, the SA taking, everybody, because it's just like a national cake, everybody is taking from. The federal government give 5 billion naira. Now that 5 billion naira, you get somebody, okay, get us 3 trucks of rice. He has to pay his own profit margin. So I actually don't like that idea of getting the palliatives. And it will not solve the problem, but rather it will just cushion the effect, but it will not even cushion any effect. If the same woman that will go to the market at 100 naira, then now is 300 naira, that 200 naira being added is what it matters to the president, and push the 5 billion naira to cushion it. So the first thing to do is go to their locality, look at the emergency demand. With 17 billion naira, you can set up an emergency healthcare facility in a community. I assure you that I'm an entrepreneur. I know where you put what to get what. So the fact is...
So you mean 17 million, not billion?
With 17 million naira. Because based on what I just do the analysis, is 17 million naira is per ward in Jigawa state. Per ward, you can have 17 million naira. Out of 5 billion naira given to the state.
So how many wards do you have?
287 wards.
Okay.
So if you divide 5 billion naira to 287, you have around 17, 17 plus million naira. So with 17 million naira in ward, I'm not talking about the local government, in ward level, at ward level, go and see the impact it will make. So where is the money?
Quite sad. All right, let's leave Nigeria matter and go straight to Niger Republic. Let's talk about the Niger coup and then the Niger updates. We've seen how far this has gone. Some talk about diplomatic resolutions, while some are still hinging on, the ECOWAS is still hinging on use of force. And in all that, you still have so many people coming out to say that, remember the fact that we have some states that share border with Niger Republic. You have Sokoto, you have Jigawa, you have Katsina, and
Kebbi,
Zamfara.
Yobe.
So in all of that, how much will this affect, especially those states? Because we know that if, yes, their borders are closed, and then we know the economic impact effect that it has caused. But if you decide to go through force, you know that it will definitely bring more refugees, or you have to create more IDP camps. Let's start with that.
Yeah, to me, the starting point was a threatening to the Niger Republic by the president and the ECOWAS. But now they have realized their mistakes and they are now coming down. Even from the Niger Republic, they took it very tough, but now, they are now subsidizing. Definitely, the diplomatic war will be the only solution to that. We can't afford war now. The bunch of insecurity we have in country is more than enough for us now. Involving another country which is bothering us about 7 states, it will not yield any positive result. And I wish you had been to Jigawa or Katsina. You can see how our borders are. We are not secured. So I think the best way to go is diplomatic. And I'm glad the leadership in the Niger Republic, they are now coming down as well, just like the ECOWAS. Do
you actually think that they're now coming down?
Of course, before they are not, because they even had preparation for the war.
But then you saw that the 7-year transition plan was denied, was not agreed on.
Yeah, but now they said, okay, even if there is something that they can do is not giving back power to the former President Bazoum. So which means, you see, they are coming down now. So probably they can have the transition plan for the next 6 or 7 months, where the military can organize and have a peaceful election, where the country people can vote whom they want to have the power back to them.
What is the issue with having President Bazoum? What do you think will be their issue with it?
Actually, for Niger Republic, it's not the internal issue, it's the external forces.
The international...
You see, it's a very broader issue. There is too much of the international community. Let me take you to the Wagner case. The Wagner security teams, they were in Mali, they were in Burkina Faso, they were in so many African countries. Now, back then, there is a story that they are in Niger Republic to support the Niger coup. If Nigeria or if ECOWAS go into war, the most country that will suffer most is Nigeria. And the same Nigeria is the most populous country in the Africa. The same Nigeria is the one that is having the pipeline from Port Harcourt, gas pipeline from Wari down to, to the Europe. And it passed through the Republic. So it's a very serious war. It's just like what is happening in the Sudan. It's not the people on the soil that are fighting. It is two giant countries in the world that are fighting in their own soil. So in any case, our prayer is that the war will not be the solution to that. We have to go diplomatic. That is the best way.
All right, so now let's leave that matter and then talk about other matters. Let's talk about business. How exactly, because like I said, like I know that you're already an entrepreneur, how best do you actually think that the government can come in and help entrepreneurs? Because they are the largest employer of labor at the moment. You cannot wish them away. The SMEs, you can't throw them away. So how far can the government actually come out to help that sector, the organized private sector, in order for them to boost their economy and then grow the revenue?
Yeah, government has a very good role and very gigantic one to play on that aspect. Because as I rightly said earlier, the issue of land acquisition is very, very difficult. The cost of running the organization, and at all, if you need any support from government, before you reach out to those people, then it is very tedious. You must know somebody before you will be taken into consideration. There was this program by the former administration of President Buhari, that of this bank from the CBN, they are giving loan to the...
That's the Uncle Boros program.
Uncle Boros program. It started well, but interest came in.
But you've always have such programs. You also had Shopee at some time.
Yeah, Shopee was there.
You win.
But you win, of course. The fact is, government has to be specific on what they want. Like in terms of agriculture, the money is not being given to the right farmers at the lowest ebb. We have two types of farmers. There are paper farmers and there are real farmers. Those paper farmers, they can just look well, dress well, have all the documents needed, and they confront the government and they will be given money. And they don't have even one piece of land to plant or to farm. But the real farmers are there waiting to have that from government, but they couldn't get.
And they are the ones that are even suffering the effect of bandits, flood and all.
Of course. Last year there was massive flooding. People lost their farms. And a lot of things happen. But what I look forward from the government is that they should have set a community-based economic run cycle. In every community, you will find someone who is a bit, above the average. He has money, he has farms. People will level. If that person can be powered, if some small entrepreneurs can be given opportunity, we will be empowered. We will do magically well. And definitely those rate of unemployment, it has to go down. But in case the government couldn't do the needful, then we are just, crawling small, just to earn a living.
Okay, let's talk about your group. That's the Northern Intellectual Forum. What exactly do you do? What makes it different from Arewa Consultative Forum or from any other of those Northern groups you have, or the Northern Coalition Group?
Northern Intellectual Forum is basically an association of university, polytechnic, and colleges of education lecturers. It's basically intellectuals.
Okay.
Yeah, so we focus more on digesting the problem, bringing it on board, and propose a solution to the government. We don't normally talk, but we rather, write to the government. We're headed by a professor and a lot of our colleagues. So now the door has been opened for other artists to come on board. If you have anything that you think is researchable, after research is not developable, then we can look into R&D. So we are quite, at the average point. It's a non-governmental organization, and we are looking at the issue that are most for the Northerners, like the security, like the agriculture, like money unemployment, and also the issue of, those young people that are moving around without any job. So we look at specific community, what exactly do they need? then we contribute. You know,
Okay.
among the cycle, everyone has to push, just like an association.
So you mean that lecturers come together to
Yeah,
contribute?
it's lecturers.
Okay.
We mostly, you know, identify the problem, define it, then we propose a solution, then we put for the government for the execution. So that is why we are quite different with Arewa, Consultative Forum, NCM, and all those other organizations that are doing well as well.
Okay,
Yeah.
because our time is fast spent, but in one word, how much have, because we know that school fees has increased, and in fact, by September, when school been resuming, most parents have decided, I don't think I can afford to allow my child go to school anymore. What is NIF doing to cushion the effects for such parents?
Yeah, from the NIF point, we actually solicit from the philanthropists and some key individuals. It started from the department, the faculty, and the university community. Recently, in my university, the vice chancellor has set up a committee, and they fed for over 50 to 100 students the registration fee of that 2022-2023 session. So INF too, we look at the community. There are a lot of people that cannot afford to pay the registration, and they are doing well. So we contact philanthropists. And people like you also who send an invitation, you have to push, So we gathered it and support those people. That is the only thing we so far can do. But aside that, it's more intellectual capacity building.
All right, Sani Ahamad Kazaure, Secretary General, Northern Intellectual Forum. It's been a wonderful time here having this talk with you.
It's my pleasure to have you, and it's my pleasure to be with you and the Captain TV family as well.
Thank you so much.
So
likewise.
It's my pleasure.
Likewise.
Thank you.
All right, viewers, that's where we end this edition of The Conversation, as we've been chatting with Sani Ahamad Kazaure, who is a lecturer, he is a system analyst, and he is an entrepreneur. It's been a wonderful time having this conversation. And remember, whatever you do, stay safe, love your neighbor as you love yourself, and then take care of everyone around you. See something, say something. I will see you next time. My name is Annabelle Oji. God bless you and yours. God bless Nigeria.